499, delivered on 7th May 2008, the same parcel of land has been held to belong to the Shiashi stool, the Klana Kote, has been held to belong to the Shiashi school, the Klana Kote school, the Odete Chewi family, Nunu Mashi family, and Osei family. In this situation, in whose name should the Lands Commission register title to this land? Which stool is therefore the beneficial owner of this land? Distinguished guests, despite these challenges, I am happy to report that the Lands Commission is in the process of digitizing land administration in Ghana. The complaints about delays in land registration is something that we cannot be proud of. The government intends to partner with the individuals in the private sector to raise required capital and technical expertise to undertake this massive transformation. It is government's aim to reduce the time for registration to a maximum of 1 month, and this will be possible if the records of the Lands Commission are digitized. Ladies and gentlemen, the urgency to implement the Act by the Ministry is reflected in the directive to the Lands Commission, pursuant to Section 270 of Act 1036, to set up a committee to evaluate all existing lands which have invested and to make recommendations to the President of the Republic for the divesting of these lands. I am pleased to announce that a committee has been inaugurated and charged to undertake a case-by-case inquiry into the current status of such lands, collect the views of the pre-existing owners, study the challenges and lessons learned from all attempts at divesting, and make recommendations to the President within 6 months. I will hold the committee strictly to the timeline, and I'm confident they will deliver. Mr. Vice President, ladies and gentlemen, stakeholders hearing assembled, we have carefully selected representation for this symposium with the requisite experience to be able to ensure that deliberations are effective and give us results. Our experience from the national and regional consultations on illegal small-scale mining, which was opened in April, brought about open and frank discussions devoid of partisan politics, is key to dealing with the matters of national importance like this. It is our hope that this symposium, like the consultation on illegal small-scale mining, will yield the needed results. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, in conclusion, let me state that effective land administration in our country is a sine qua non for national progress and development. And I want to assure the Vice President and the good people of this country that we at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources are determined to ensure that the new Lands Act 2020, Act 1036, is fully implemented, is fully disseminated across our country to ensure that for once we have an effective, orderly land administration which is steeped in integrity in our beloved country, Ghana. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. And the promise he just made is already in force. The dissemination of information about the Lands Act is already in full force, starting from this national symposium. Ladies and gentlemen, when you are dealing with land matters and you are so excited, overexcited about the new things that are coming, because you are familiar that one small family land matter took 40 years to determine in our court, from one court to the next, to appeal to Supreme Court, you may get confused. So I did. And after introducing the Executive Secretary, I saw right by me the National Chairman of the Lands Commission, the Honorable Stephen Intim. Thank you very much for making the time to be here. Also, we have the Parliamentary Select Committee on Lands and Natural Resources. That's the Chairman, Honorable Adabo. Thank you very much for joining us. So here was my confusion, that the Executive Secretary of the Lands Commission, Alhaji Suleimana, should welcome us. On the very powerful notes of the Honorable Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, shall we have the Executive Secretary of the Lands Commission, Alhaji Suleimana Mahama, to properly introduce us.
Your Excellency, the Vice President, the Honorable Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Your Majesty, the President of the National House of Chiefs, eminent chiefs, representatives of the Chief Justice, fellow professionals, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. Far from welcoming you to this ceremony, what I am actually going to do is to try to just give you a sort of a synopsis of what has happened leading to the delivery of this Land Act, just to let us understand what as a country we have gone through to get this act passed, and therefore the need to be sure that we will implement it to the letter. The Land Act, whose dissemination is commencing today, dates back to 1994, when the then Minister for Lands and Forestry initiated the formulation of the Ghana Land Policy. Activities in the formulation led to a national workshop in 1997, where consensus was reached about the direction of future land policy in the country. In January 1999, the National Land Policy was formally approved by government. This document identified a lack of comprehensive land policy framework and inadequate and outdated legislation as some of the fundamental problems of land administration in Ghana. This process saw the likes of late Professor Emisa, Professor S.O. Isiama, and our own Dr. Westward Odami Labi play significant roles among other professionals. Following the launching of the National Land Policy, government in 2000 sought the assistance of the World Bank to support the implementation of the policy actions prescribed by the National Land Policy document. A project document concept was developed and consultants were hired to help with the design of a comprehensive project to address the limitations of the land administration system of this country. The World Bank in Accra commissioned the Center for Democratic Development, CDD, to undertake a scoping study of the legal and judicial framework for land administration as far back as 2002. This document formed the basis of a more comprehensive review undertaken of the legislative and judicial framework, which was undertaken by our own Professor Ashikotie, as he then was, with his associates from the University of Ghana Law Faculty. The report produced by Professor Kote and associates were subjected to extensive stakeholder discussions, including reviews by the judiciary and the National House of Chiefs. This work became an important component in the formulation of the Land Administration Project. In 2004, an interministerial committee was formed to oversee the judicial and legislative review process and to provide advice and guidance for the legal study. At this juncture, it is important to acknowledge the keen interest shown by the then Chief Justice, Justice George Kingsley Akwa, and other senior justices like Justice Alexander Kobina Ba Ampia, Tewia Modibo Okran, and Sophia Akufo. In 2005, Cabinet approved the blueprint for the legal and institutional reforms recommended from the legal and judicial study, as well as stakeholder engagements. While work continued on implementing the recommendation, Mr. Vice President, a National Land Forum was held in 2007 to identify critical issues for consideration in the new land bill. Between 2007 and 2010, a legal drafting committee composed mainly of public officials and led by our indefatigable lawyer Kwame Jan, worked on 3 different iterations of the land bill. And some of the colleagues are here with us today. The drafting involved review by both local and international consultants with respect to international best practice. In parallel to the final stages of Lab 1, a land governance assessment framework was carried out by a team of land experts who examined the full spectrum of issues affecting land governance in Ghana and identified opportunities and priorities for reform. Many of the recommendations of the Land Governance Assessment Framework process was identified to have important implications for any efforts to improve and modernize the legal framework. Land Administration Project 2 started in 2011 with the aim of consolidating the gains of LAP 1 and complete the land bill together with its legislative instruments. However, between 2012 and 2015, efforts at hiring difference were unsuccessful. The procurement processes were therefore truncated, and this led to the terms of reference for the assignment to be revised and approval sought from the World Bank for the formation of the Land Bill Working Group to undertake the assignment. The 15-member group made up of representatives of the public sector agencies, Ghana Bar Association, academia, and chiefs were ably led by Nana Susubribi Krobia Asante, Paramount Chief Asante Askwari Traditional Area, an accomplished public servant, lawyer, and also an academic. The full list of membership are listed in your brochure. Out of the group of 15, a 6-member core group was mandated to undertake the drafting of the bill, subject to the review of the larger group under the chairmanship of Justice Stephen Alan Robe. The various drafts of the bill prepared were subjected to nationwide consultations, as well as specific targeted groups like the judiciary, the Ghana Bar, National House of Chiefs, Ghana Institution of Surveyors, and civil society organizations. At this juncture, I must commend the zeal with which the core team approached the task. Despite their advanced ages, Justice Alan Brobe, Professor Nia Ashikote, and Henry Taki did not give those of us who were very young in the group any latitude till targeted results were achieved. It amazes me at the resilience they exhibited as we were holed up in places like Pram Pram or books of our work. In order not to miss out, Nana Susubribi Krobia Asante surprise visits in these locations to ensure that deadlines were met. Nationwide consultations were held in 2017, and Cabinet gave approval for the bill to be laid in Parliament. In 2018, the bill was laid in Parliament and again subjected to vigorous scrutiny by the Parliamentary Select Committee on Lands and Forestry. Several stakeholder consultations again, and a vigorous clause-by-clause considerations were made. I am proud of the bipartisan approaches and the friendship that characterized the discussions. Even the most contentious issues were somewhat like the spousal provisions. Even the most contentious issues were somewhat expectedly dealt with by members led by the chairman, Honorable Francis Menu Adabo, and his ranking member, Alhaji Collins Dauda. When all was done and was submitted to Parliament for full approval, the Winnowing Committee of Parliament also took time to examine the bill in detail, and senior members of Parliament, especially the Majority Leader, Oseche Mensah Bonsu, and Honorable Yele Chire, are both worth mentioning, as well as the other members of the Winnowing Committee. There were times that sessions lasted beyond midnight and up to 2 a.m., and yet they still forged ahead. We heaved a big sigh of relief when finally, in July 2020, Parliament gives full approval to the bill. His Excellency, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, assented to the bill to produce the Land Act on the 23rd of December 2020. So here we are, celebrating the achievements of a great feat for the Republic of Ghana. And the task ahead is to ensure that widely disseminated, understood, implemented, and enforced by all sections of the society. From here, the actual work begins. There will be a whole range of countrywide dissemination programs to cover all segments of society. This effort will be led by the Lands Commission, the Office of the Administrator of Stool Land, with the active support of the Ghana Institution of Surveyors, Ghana Bar Association, academia, and civil society organization. Please look out for the engagement with our teams. Your Excellency, this is the history of the Land Act. I thank you for your attention.
Banks that we find in our security agencies have always been the best. There's no doubt about that. And thank you, the Executive Secretary of the Lands Commission. I also find that as you spoke, you mentioned Professor Justice Ni Ashikote of the Supreme Court of Ghana, and I find that he's seated right in front of us. Thank you so very much. Keep your mask on. They may be masking you, not helping the person next by you to identify you properly, but it is important. Ladies and gentlemen, my excitement over the Land Act, and more importantly, the promise by the Minister just having been echoed by the Executive Secretary of the comprehensive education that is going to go on, makes me more excited. The Minister mentioned that it is unthinkable and it shouldn't happen in any civilized society that one land is registered by several other people and so on and so forth. So now we have a cure in this law. There are punishments for public officers who delete, falsify land records, or they make fraudulent issuance of documents, or they make fraudulent entries, or they make alterations or erasures, or they deface or obliterate or mutilate. You see how they went about the law? Even the people supposed to be the gatekeepers are in trouble, and you could go into jail for 2 to 5 years. Ladies and gentlemen, we are even more excited that there is a digitization angle to this. Without much ado, let us be upstanding as we welcome His Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to give us the keynote speech.
Please. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Samson. The Honorable Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abu-Jinapor. Deputy Ministers, see Isaac, Merikuduka here, and Benito Osubio, Members of Parliament, Chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Lands and Forestry, President of the National House of Chiefs, Agyapong the second, Nana Dr. SKB Asante, the Justice Retired Stephen Brobe, Professor Justice Ashikote, Justice Sir Dennis Ajayi, the Chairman of the Lands Commission, representatives of the Judiciary, Executives, Secretary, and members of the National Lands Commission, heads of sector agencies, Nime, Name, distinguished guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, and good morning to you. It is an honor and a privilege to be here with you this morning at this National Symposium on the Land Act 2020. Today's National Symposium marks a significant event in the history of land administration in Ghana. I say this because for the first time, a law on land administration has been passed to revise, harmonize, and consolidate laws on land to ensure sustainable land administration and management. This legislation is remarkable because it has been achieved by the repeal of 13 acts and many more related legislations in order to ensure a one-stop legislation with all that is required, to set up an effective land administration in Ghana. So if you want to know about the laws relating to land, all you need to do is to go to the Land Act 2020. You don't go to 13 different pieces of legislation and more trying to figure out what it is. And so this is really what is revolutionary about what has taken place. And I really want to say a very, very big thank you to the core team that worked on this. You saw from the history that has been given by the Executive Secretary that this took a long time and a lot of hours, you know, and a lot of supervisory inspections by Nana Dr. SKB Asante and keeping them. I really want us, I mean, you have Dr. SKB Asante here, you have Professor Justice Ashikote here, you have Justice Brobe here, all of them. Please, let's give them a round of applause. I mean, really. Splendid. It's fantastic, and we really thank you. I wish to also commend my boss, the President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, for his dedication, and all the stakeholders who ensured that even in the midst of the season's festivities, you know, he signed this thing into law on 23rd December. He's always working. You would have thought he would have been taking it easy for Christmas. But he was in the office working and signing this bill into law. And we really thank him for his commitment. He was very much looking forward to it and got it done. I also want to commend our energetic and hard-working Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Samuel Abu-Jinapor, for organizing this symposium. I mean, he's been very keen, making sure I will be here today, and I was also very keen to be here. So we had a double coincidence of once in a sense. So the importance of an effective and efficient land sector in Ghana cannot be overemphasized. every economic activity undertaken by man has relation to land, and therefore land remains pivotal to the national development. In fact, the National Lands Policy of 1999, the Coordinated Program for Economic and Social Development, and the Ghana Beyond Strategy, 8 strategy, show a functional land administration system as a catalyst for development. If you look at all the advanced economies, whenever you see the economy not doing well, you watch the mortgage market, the land market. That is where the wealth is. So that whenever you see the mortgage or housing market declining, then you know you have a problem, because land has got its, connections to many, many areas of the economy, jobs, and so on. Indeed, in 2018, I paid a surprise visit to the Lands Commission to have a first-hand understanding of the operations of the Commission and the interventions needed to improve the system. Some of the challenges I observed during the visit included the limitations in fiscal space, reliance on manual processes and paper-based records, and all were contributing to delays in processing applications by clients. In fact, I was amazed, and I didn't know how, given what I saw on the floor, how they could find documents. But they seem to have a system. Only they could understand. When I looked at it, a Ghana man would say, "Kwe." So I came back to the office, shaking my head all the way. Sectors such as the banking sector often bear the brunt of the difficulties we face in our land administration system. Issues of fraudulent collateral, unregistered and untraceable properties, and in securing bank loans make it difficult to realize value in event of default. Our banks can be in court for over 20 years over trying to enforce a collateral. And so because of that, when you take a collateral to bank, they look at it as a piece of paper. After all, another person may be holding the same land certificate, and it is valueless. So they will not pay attention to it. And this is really when you ask for one of the reasons why our interest rates are so high in Ghana, and especially our mortgage lending rates and so on. These are some of the reasons, because, finding out title to land is very, very difficult, because it can always be challenged and so on. And this is also why our mortgage market has not developed. It is worth noting that successive governments have tried resolving the challenges in our land administration system, but these efforts have often come with various complications and inefficient deployment of resources. Governments after governments, bank loans after bank loans, our fundamental problems in land administration persist nonetheless, seemingly unsolvable, and citizens' complaints get louder and louder. So citizens resort to land guards to enforce or collect other people's properties. To address these critical challenges in the land sector and to optimize the contribution of land to the socio-economic development of Ghana, the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is committed to change through the application of technology. Ghana can only make the much-needed strides in the development when technology becomes a driver for all sectors of the economy. Therefore, as part of the digitization agenda of government, I have established in my office a liaison unit which is fervently working to assist the Lands Commission and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to expedite the digitization processes. I'm particularly excited that under the new Land Act, electronic conveyancing has been captured. So, which this can only be realized, however, by the establishment of a robust, digitized land sector agency, and this has been incorporated in the Land Act. So, the digitization of the land agency, of the Land Commission, has now become very imperative. And I have every confidence that the team that we have at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the Honorable Minister with Usubio and Mirakuduka, is a formidable team working with the Lands Commission, and I believe that we are going to slay this dragon and make sure that we fight the demons and principalities that we meet in the process of land administration. I mean, you all know the demons and principalities that you meet when you get to the Lands Commission. We are going to slay those demons and principalities, and Abu Benito and Mirakuduka, we are going to lead that charge. We are going to digitize the land registry, and we are going to start that process now. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, in the process, I mean, looking at the Act, you know, you are seeing that it is required that within 10 days of the last day of each month, the land registrars are required to compile a list of all registered interests and rights from the previous month and submit it to the Director of Land Registration for publication on the Lands Commission website. So we will be having updated month-by-month registration of interest in land, so that, you know, and that will go on the website so that you can see what is happening on the site. I'm also very happy about the protection of spousal interest in land for properties acquired during marriage. So when you acquire properties during marriage, and for a lot of my male colleagues, you can't go and sell it without the knowledge of your wife. This has now been, our spouses have now been protected under this particular act. So, if you try to do it, you fall foul of the law, and so on. And I think it's very, 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 very important that you don't go to mortgage land or sell land that goes to the disadvantage of the spouse. I was very happy to see that provision in the law. When we were doing banking law, there was this case of Lloyds Bank versus Bundy, which is an old English case directly protecting spouses who had equitable interests in land. And I think that is essentially what we have done here in codifying this into law and all of that. So, ladies and gentlemen, the laws in themselves, however, do not resolve problems. We are very good at passing laws, and that one in Papa. The only problem is implementing the laws. That becomes, that's where the problem is. But we have many, many good laws, and this is one such good law. But they do not resolve problems in themselves. It is the application of the laws and their effective implementation that will result in the desired changes in the land sector that all of us so much desire. To this end, I would like to emphasize the need for all stakeholders to rally together to ensure that the provisions of the Land Act are implemented effectively and resources are channeled towards it. For instance, the Land Act provides that our eminent chiefs, clan and family heads, the Tindanes, who are the custodians of approximately 80% of the land area of Ghana, they are required to establish customary land secretariats to improve the management of their lands. However, our traditional authorities will require technical and professional assistance from Lands Commission, Office of the Administrator of Stool Lands, and the Land Use and Spatial Planning Authority to establish these secretariats. If we just sit down and say they will be established, it will not happen. We need to assist the traditional authorities to establish these secretariats. So I trust that the Honourable Minister would give the urgent support and needed directives to the agencies to this end. Also, the participation of the private sector is essential, especially in the injection of capital and technical know-how in targeting specific key improvements in the infrastructure and operations of the Lands Commission. This participation would go a long way in improving efficiency and increasing the internally generated resources. I want to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, by urging all those present at this symposium to make meaningful inputs in the discussions to ensure the effective implementation of the Land Act 2020. The good people of Ghana renewed our government's mandate for 4 more to do more. We passed the Act in the first 4-year term. Now the road to effective implementation has begun. The government will lend its full support to this new direction. I wish you fruitful deliberations. I thank you for your attention, and God bless our homeland, Ghana.
Ladies and gentlemen, please continue to clap, continue to appreciate His Excellency the Vice President for the marching orders more particularly. We will take a 10 to 15 minute snack break right now. It is only our dignitaries, the guests, who will go out for a photograph. So please do, and be minded that in 15 minutes you are seated back, so we continue with the second session. Shall we be upstanding as we have the national anthem? Can't thank you enough, Your Excellency the Vice President. Please, it's time for photography and lunch. Oh, I understand we'll take the photography. Please, let's have all our dignitaries, the guests, take the podium for the photography session. The Lands Bill Working Group, please, you are part of the photography. The Land Bill Working Group. Thank you very much. Let's remain standing as His Excellency the Vice President takes his leave. Please remain where you are and keep standing just for briefly. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. There's a small exhibition in front there. The Vice President and his entourage will take a good look at what is being exhibited. As you also take your snack, you can do same. Thank you all. I'm starting to count the time from now. All right. Please, we can quickly go for the snack. And in the next 10 minutes, we should be back for the second and yet another important segment of today's event.
Good afternoon. My name is Ikea Anderson. I'm from the Ghana Statistical Service. I'm a census official and I'm here to count you and your household members for the 2021 Population and Housing Census.
Hey, you people, you come to count us all the time, but we get nothing out of this. Do I even have time?
Daddy, please take your ID card and letter in. It must be counted. It's very important.
You see,